practicing to beat somebody. We're practicing to beat everybody.
My expectation is we go out and dominate and create a nightmare and make people never want to play you again.
If you are a fan of another team and your coach is not out there doing everything that Kirby Smart is doing right now, you are already losing. You feel however you want to feel about that.
Nowhere to run and nowhere to hide for 4 quarters. They got to see us in our house for 4 quarters. They got to look us in the eye for 4. This is about us and our family and our house. This is about us. This is our mentality. We ain't backing down. We ain't running. Set a tone, send a message. This is our house. Physical toughness wins in football now. And if you in this room, you got it. And if you come in here, you better believe in it. Because this physical toughness, it's what makes the difference. Elite focus. That's all I'm doing to the guy across from me. I'm fixing to whip his ass. Not in my box, not today. It's about us, it's about our family. We attack. You take that helmet and you strike them, and you strike them, and you strike them. That's how you get respect.
Physically, I want to break them.
Well, let's get right to it off the jump. What do you say? Here's what I had to say about G-Day 2025. I walked out of Sanford Stadium today thinking one phrase, and that's, these dogs will hunt. That's where I'm at. I know it's just spring, and I know that everybody's working out the kinks, doing that kind of stuff. And I guess maybe I am tonight too. Tonight's going to be a little bit of a different sort of conversation. Tonight, not a whole lot of pre-programming. I wasn't even certain I was going to be able to do the show, but we got back home and everything's fine. So I figured we'd just settle in tonight and have a little conversation, talk about what I saw at G-Day, talk about what I think about what I saw at G-Day, share some of the coolest experiences that personally I have ever had, and just sort of revel in the day that was. Like, I know that the temperature said it was like mid-60s, and it was a little breezy, but I got to tell you, it was a beautiful day to be in the Classic City. I mean, all joking aside, we were sitting under the overhang. We were fortunate enough to sit high up in one of the lower bowl sections, and having been to a lot of Georgia games and a lot of G-Days where we were out in the sun, I was really thankful to have the overhead today because the shade was something that was nice. The breeze was what it was, and it was a little cool, especially for the littles, but I have walked out of there before looking as red as a Georgia football helmet, so I was thankful I didn't have to worry about that today. But it was sun-splashed, blue skies. The dogs played well. Everybody that I ran into seemed to be in a really good mood. And frankly, it's just like the thumbnail says for this video. Today was amazing. It was amazing because I got to go and hang out in a way that I haven't gotten to go and hang out at many Georgia games or sporting events over the last 26 years today, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I was able to be there with my girls, my wife, my whole family. We just had a really good day. Got up, got gone, got to Athens, no problem parking, no problem getting to the stadium, no problems getting into the stadium. Like literally everything that we did today was super simple, super easy, and we just got to be there and enjoy it with a bunch of other really good dog fans, and that was a whole lot of fun. So to start this thing off, let's just start at the beginning. G-Day, that's why we were in Athens, red and black, and I have said a little bit about this. I haven't really gone into a whole lot of depth about it, but there are universities all across college football this year who are choosing to not have spring games. And it's like Kirby has said from the podium, and I did address this, there's no guarantee that a G-Day game is going to happen every year. And that's based on a lot of things. It could be that you have a rash of injuries, you don't have enough players to do a full-on game, things like that, right? Those things make sense. But earlier this year, there was a whole lot of talk about people being worried about their players being pilfered in the transfer portal. They go out, they have a good spring game, and then after the spring game, the next portal window opens, and then teams swoop in and try to take their best players. That's just paranoia. And if you're asking just my personal opinion, I think that's mostly just a smokescreen. It's just an excuse, because really what it comes down to is coaches want more control. Now, let's look at what happened here at Georgia. ESPN wanted to put Georgia on for the spring game. They wanted to carry it live. But Georgia and ESPN then got into a business discussion. And frankly, Kirby said, I don't want to do that. I want to have more control over my practice, which is what G-Day is. It's fun for the fans. It gives us a chance to get out there and do some things, and get a little flavor in the spring as we get ready to move into the long summer before the season begins. But really, Kirby's just looking at it as another practice. And so he wants to be able to control his practice. And he wasn't so much worried about anybody coming and taking his players because it's Georgia. People are always going to come try to take your players because they're great players. So essentially, Kirby said, y'all can keep your live broadcasts. We don't want to limit ourselves to this time window you have. We would rather have control. And in his press conference today after G-Day, Kirby stood right at the mic and said, hey, this was a really good G-Day for us. We got more reps in. We were able to do it in front of the band with the lights on, and fans in the stands. And he felt pretty good overall about how we came through the thing. So I just want to take a second and acknowledge how thankful I am that the University of Georgia still put on a spring game for its fans. Because let's just brass tacks this thing for you. If in this new world of college football, with an expanded playoff and everything seemingly being more expensive, and if you don't believe me, just ask anybody who went to the game today and decided to go to the concession stand, okay? It's not an inexpensive thing to go to the stadium to see a game. So this is an opportunity for people who might not get to come otherwise, like I usually don't get to come in the fall because I'm working on Saturdays, to get to come, bring the family, have a great day. And it's good for Georgia to give back to the fan base in that way. And yes, I know we're still paying to be there, but Kirby has taken the position of locking things down at Georgia since he's been there. No media access, as little as they have to do. That's what he wants to do. And it's all about control, protecting his players and his team. So I get it, but it's really good when they just say, you know what, forget what everybody else is doing. We can have a spring game. We are going to have a spring game. And I just want to take a second and acknowledge that in today's college football, that's not happening everywhere. And I appreciate the fact that Georgia decided to go ahead with the spring game because it was a wonderful day. That's why I decided to come on tonight. I told Mrs. Beast in the car ride, on the car ride home, and I even told the girls who were sitting in the back seat, I'm like, I feel so good coming out of this game that I think we're going to be able to get home and get this thing done and get a live show in the air tonight. I think that'll be fun. I think people might drop in. So if you're here with us tonight, I appreciate you being here because, man, this is cool. So the red and black game, G-Day, happened today, and it was really cool. We got there early enough to get settled in down by the dog walk. Got to see Harry up close and personal. He came by, waved at the girls. That was a whole lot of fun. The fans turned out for the dog walk, just like, it was a regular season game. So kudos to the fans, those of you who decided to come. The bridge was full. The bookstore hangovers were full. All the walkway was full of fans. So it was great seeing everybody out there. And people were chill. It was nice. Nobody was crushing in, It was just a really cool atmosphere today. And again, I have littles, they're under 10 years old. And so to take them into an environment like this can be sometimes a little sketchy because that's a lot of people for them to be around. And again, today it was just mellow. It was cool. And I just really appreciated it. So G-Day was fun. The dog walk was fun. And I figured I'd share a few of the photos we snapped here of the players as they came along through the dog walk. That's CJ Allen, just to walk you through who you're looking at here. CJ Allen looking nice on the black team today. I think he was on the black team last year too, so that was pretty cool. And there's the man, Gunnar Stockton. It's so funny, y'all. We were standing on the rope line waiting for the players to come by, and we just start talking to the people that are around you, right? Imagine that. Me and mine, not afraid to speak to strangers, right? So we're standing there and we start chatting with a young fella, a young couple, young family from Raven County. Now that's important because that's where Gunnar Stockton's from. So that's cool. I could stop right there and we'd be done. But we were talking about what it's like in Rabun County these days and back and forth, and they were asking where we were from. And I mentioned that we had grown up in Stevens County, which is nearby, a stone's throw away from Rabun County up there in North Georgia. And it wasn't 2 minutes later, we moved from, hey, we grew up there, to this is my family, to do you know this guy? And before we knew it, the gentleman that we were talking to, we found out that he had worked side by side with Mrs. Beast's cousin's husband. It's a small world, man. That's why you get out and go do this kind of stuff, because you never know who you're going to run into. So before we walked away from the dog walk today, we had made new friends and figured out we had people, essentially family, that we were talking to there. And that was pretty doggone cool. But then the man, Gunner, came by, and of course, the girls were the friends that we had just made. They had daughters also, and they were thrilled to see Gunner come by. And he took time to high five everybody right there, and that was a cool moment for them. So that was pretty cool. So kudos to Gunner for taking a second to make that happen. We saw a lot of the young faces, a lot of the young stars that I have been talking about on the last podcast. So if you hadn't seen that one, go check it out, because I was watching out for those dudes today. Here's one of them, Elijah Griffin. Settled in today. He was nice when he came by too. You see that big smile. He looks like a happy dude. And it was nice to see him settle in there. We saw him make some plays today, so that was pretty cool. This is Isaiah Gibson, another name that we mentioned on the podcast last week. Another guy that's coming in as a 5-star freshman. Ballyhooed, going to have a chance to play this year probably. It all depends on how fast he can pick everything up. But the thing, and notice this picture gives you some good reference. If you look at the young lady who is escorting and protecting these football players as they come through the dog walk here, just notice how much larger these young men are than this young lady who is their escort down the line. It'll make you grin on one hand, but on the other hand, my girls, remember, were belly to the rope. They were right up front. And as these gentlemen come by, all 100 of them, the girls were just blown away. They were like, man, these are just huge humans. It's so funny because the girls are so small. And to see that juxtaposition of, these young men who are really just beginning their adventures as adults, and my little girls there, and just to see them look up and go, man, that's a big man, pretty interesting. So that was cool to see Isaiah come by. Justin Miller, another name that I mentioned the other night, had a lot to say. And Justin flashed today, so I'll have more to say about him here in a minute on the field. But as you see here, you notice he's just another good-looking young man. And I don't mean, the way he wears his hair. I'm just saying he's put together like a football player. He was nice to the girls, smiled at them when he came by, and that was a cool thing to see him up close and personal. You get a real feel for how large these dudes are when you get down there close to the dog walk, which is why if you ever get to go to the game and you have an opportunity to take in the dog walk, please do, because it's fun. It's good for the players. It's good for the band. It's a lot of fun. You never know who you're going to run into. And it just shows you, it brings the game up close to you, if you know what I mean. So this picture is pretty interesting because you've got Ryan Puglisi, who a lot of people wanted to see play today, and you've got Noah Thomas in the same photo. So these two dudes, were really getting their first time to shine on Sanford, on the field there at Sanford today. So that was a whole lot of fun to see. Again, impressive looking young men as they strode by. And it's just one of those things that we were very, very happy to have the opportunity.
Have you ever wondered why Kirby Smart is considered?
Hit the wrong button. We were very, very happy to have an opportunity to get to see those dudes up close.
Have you ever wondered why Kirby Smart is considered one of the top coaches in college football? Why he builds his programs the way he does, and why he's been so successful? It's because he's adapted the teachings of some of the best philosophical and strategic minds the world has ever known. These are lessons that help you be successful not only on the football field, but also in life. If you're interested in learning some of those secrets for yourself, the key is to help you change your life and better understand what makes Kirby tick. Good news is I've already done all the work for you. Just sign up for the Ring the Bell newsletter below and I'll send you my curated list absolutely free. And you can start to unlock the keys to help you dominate life the way Kirby Smart and his Georgia Bulldogs dominate college football. Get it today.
Now, as we moved into the stadium after the dog walk, you can see Harry Dog was doing what he was doing. All the good things that I mentioned before, they just carried over. And once we got inside, it was a whole lot more of the same kind of stuff. It was photos, it was memories, it was good play, and a lot of smiles. This is a beautiful picture because it really captures what today was. Like, the stadium was just sun-splashed and just bathed in red and black. And it was a whole lot of fun to be in there and check it out. And in case you need to know who that is, that's DeMello Jones, by the way. Nice down south Georgia boy who made a play or two today, which was pretty cool to see some of those young dudes get out there. And as we got into the game, there were a few things that started to shake out. Different players had an opportunity to shine. It was just good to see the red and black back on Sanford and out there, having a good time and making plays. And Gunner was among those dudes that made plays today. We saw him throw the ball down the field. He and Puglisi both did that. They put the ball in the air a lot today, and that's for a couple of reasons. I mean, one, you lessen the chances of maybe a running back getting rolled up on, or an offensive lineman having somebody fall into his knees when you put the ball in the air more, which is cool. And it was one of those things that I think the Dogs kind of wanted to make it a point to show that, yeah, we are going to push the ball down the field. We're going to try to be explosive. And there were some explosive plays on the field today, which was good to see. Puglisi had a nice throw or two. Gunner really pushed the ball down the field. Those young wide receivers that we had heard about flashed a little bit. They were in there trying to make a play here or there. And some of the names that from last season. So like Colby Young showed back up and reminded everybody of exactly why it was such a big deal that he didn't get to play last year. So that's going to be a huge addition to the Georgia Bulldogs offensive unit as we move into this season. So let's move ahead here. At the end of the day, what happened in the game was that the red team won 34-17. Now, ultimately, that really only matters to the players for bragging rights and who actually gets to eat beanie weenies, I think it is, as opposed to something a little bit better. So, they can have at each other over that. But one thing's for certain, it was a good day between the hedges as far as I'm concerned. And nobody got hurt as far as I could tell. As far as I know, there were no major injuries out there. And there were a few key takeaways that I do want to make sure that we talk about. And one of those was the things that Kirby Smart had to say. And then I'll go through my notes and then we'll get into what Kirby had to say. But I want to take a second and say just thank you to everybody who jumped onto this impromptu live. I appreciate you guys being here with us. We got a lot of folks in there. I see 44 of y'all watching. I don't see quite that many thumbs up on the screen, so let me continue to work to see if I can earn that thumbs up from you. And if you just forgot, I hope you'll remember to go ahead and click that thumbs up. It tells everybody that we're here and lets you know that we're doing a good job. So we're going to try to earn those as we go through this thing. So let me take a look and see who's in the chat here, because I know that a lot of my usuals are in here. And like I said, tonight's going to be a little bit different. So we'll do a little Q&A maybe. We'll talk our way through it after I, share what it is I saw. And if you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to throw them in the chat. I'll try not to miss them. So we'll do our best to get through that. So let's see. So 225's in here. Carol's in here. Good to see y'all as always. Teresa, thanks for the text inside the stadium today. I was tied up around the time we were messaging. I had other people coming up, so I couldn't get away. I couldn't get away and go for a walk and try to find you. So I appreciate you giving me a shout in the stadium. I hope you guys had a wonderful time. Oh, see, here we go. Yeah, I see you're saying you were into the game. I know. It's fun. That's what I mean. We had such a great time today. Teresa's in here, so thanks for being here, Teresa. Tim's in here. Good to see you, buddy. Let's see, who else we got? Henry, hey, man, it's good to see you in here, too. What's going on? Jeremy, good friend Jeremy's back in here with us. Carol, 225, all right. Jimmy Hoskins, don't know that I've seen you in here before, man, so it's good to see you back now. I'm glad you could jump in here with us. Who else we got on here? Chris, what's up? Says, can't wait for the season. I hear you. And Jarrett, I don't know that I've seen you before either, Jarrett. So welcome in, man. If you have questions or anything, drop them in the chat. We'll get to it. Another new name. Was it Bravehearted Vado? Good to see you in here. Loving our offensive explosive players. That's one of the things I want to talk about today. because I think it was important for Kirby to, I mean, again, y'all know the deal. This is spring, right? You're going to have hits and misses. Things are just, it's all shifting sands. But I think the things that they wanted to show today was that they are going to throw the ball down the field and that they have players that can go get it. You know what I mean? So when we look at Noah Thomas and CJ Wiley had a big catch down the field, we know about the tight ends. They all had catches down the field. We saw the backs out of the backfield catch the ball and make some nice plays. We saw Colby Young go down the field. We saw Zach Branch have, they went for him down the field. He had a big catch that led to a touchdown. So there was a lot going on there today down the field, and it was really fun to see. Oh, excuse me, y'all. I should have hit the mute button, but I can't drink enough water today. Just sharing. All right, so Jared, I see you. You say you're always watch, just don't chat. Well, jump on in here, man. I appreciate you. It's good to see you. That makes it more interesting when we got the chat popping over there because, sometimes it gives me ideas about what to talk about. But more than that, I want to make sure that, we're touching on the things that you guys want to know about. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. DSA's in here. What's up? Jimmy Childs. He says, what's up, bro? If you're talking to me, I see you, Brad. I see you. It's good to see you in here. Let's see. 34-17. Yeah, with a running clock, that's a good score. I mean, they were moving the ball up and down the field pretty good, which sort of, and I was talking to Miss Beast about this because again, in a spring game, you can't tell. You can't tell what's a sack, what would have been a sack. You know what I mean? Because they kind of let them play and nobody's going to hit the quarterback. So sometimes you'll get a nice ball down the field that maybe you wouldn't get if they were tackled to the ground. Do you know what I'm saying? But neither here nor there. That's why the coaches watch the tape. And as I mentioned the other night, that's one of the big reasons I hate that the game wasn't broadcast, because I would have come home and after we finished up here, watch the game over there again, right, to see if I missed anything, because I'm certain I did. I mean, you don't get into the stands with, concessions and littles and all those things and see every play. You just can't do it. As much as we try, so I would have loved to have had a tape copy. And I am holding out hope. I know it's a long shot, but I'm holding out hope that they did what they call a dead roll, where they recorded the event and you had somebody doing play-by-play, but they were doing it to tape. And so maybe the SEC network's going to come back and air the game in its entirety later this week or something. There's a slim chance that could happen. I'm kind of holding out hope. We'll see. So y'all monitor SEC Network and just see if it pops up there, because it might. But I wouldn't wait too long. But there's a chance. There's a chance. So Dogman's in here. He's asking, how did the offensive line look? That was something that I was alluding to just a second ago. It's hard to tell, because there were moments when it looked really nice. Like I was going to mention, there's Chauncey Bowens had a nice run where he broke off tackle for a gain of, 19, 25, something like that. Some big gain for a first down. Dylan Bell had a nice run on an end around where things really opened up and everybody seemed to be blocking things right. I will say that Kirby Smart's not lying to us, and I told you guys this. He doesn't lie when he steps to the podium. When he was talking about Mike Bobo and how, did I say Mike? I didn't mean Mike. I meant his son, Drew, who covers down the field. So what that means is the play, he makes his initial block, but then once he gets beyond his man, he's moving down the field to look for someone else to block, or in case the ball goes on the ground, he's there to recover it. I saw Bobo running down the field today 20, 30 yards, time after time. So actions like that from big men like that show the kind of fire, passion, and energy that Kirby Smart's talking about right now. So there were a lot of good things. And like I said, they threw the ball around a lot today. And for the most part, from what I could tell, and there were players defensively who stood out that I'll mention, but from what I could tell, it looked like they did a pretty good job in pass pro. So the quarterbacks looked comfortable stepping up into the pocket on those routes down the field. So all in all, I would have to say that it was a pretty good day for the offensive line. Now, obviously, I can't speak with authority because I'm not able to review the game tape. And that these young guys busted here or there because they were turning over so many players. But on the whole, I like I say, I feel good about what I saw from the offensive line. And conversely, I have reason to feel good about what I saw from the defensive line too. And I'll get into that here in just with a few more specifics. But yeah, I thought the offensive line looked good. Let's see here. Jimmy's helping us out with some stats. He's letting us know Gunner had 309 passing yards today. 309. So, like I said, they were slinging it. And that lets you know that you had time. Again, y'all, thanks for bearing with me. I gotta drink water tonight. Out in that sun today. Let's see. All right, Carol's in here, and she wants to know, how did those freshmen look? All right, so wait a minute. Let me grab my notes, because like I said, tonight's a little bit different. Normally, I have a theme about what it is we're going to talk about, but tonight the theme is G-Day, and it's all live, so we're just going to have to do it on the fly. So from the first quarter, let's take a look at it by quarters. In the first quarter, there were a couple of notes here I had where, like Justin Miller mentioned, he had some nice plays. I saw him flash, really make some nice plays as far as dissecting the short passing game and then arriving literally as the ball was being received. So the tackle was for no gain or possible short loss there. That just speaks to not anything more than A, his athletic ability, which was on full display, and then B, the fact that he was diagnosing the route, because it was a little bit of a rub route, the one I saw. And so in a situation like that, a young player might get rubbed off or get bad eyes, but Justin did a good job and dissected it. So that was one of the things I saw from a guy who I think is going to play a lot for Georgia this year. Gunner had a nice throw down the seam. I believe it was on the Dawgs' first scoring drive where it was Lawson Lucky running right at the hash, and he was covered low and high. Gunner made a really nice throw right down the seam, put it in a place where only his receiver could catch it, and then Lawson Lucky made a fantastic hands catch. It was almost a diving catch, but he didn't dive. He just had to fully extend his arms away from his body to make the reception inside the hash mark. So the ball was beautifully thrown, very well placed, and Lawson made a tremendous hands catch on it for a gain of like 20, 25 yards. It was a beautiful play. And then they're going right down the field. And I think that drive wound up in a field goal there. And then later in that quarter, Jaden Riddell, a freshman last year who's getting his first opportunity to really get minutes with the ones and twos this year, 5-star kind of dude. He had a really nice catch and run on one of those little slip pass options that they used to throw to Brock Bowers a lot, where you get a little bit of a misdirection and the back comes out and then the tight end sort of flares out too. Quarterback just raises up and kind of hands it to him on a 3-4 yard dump pass, but then he's got a lot of room to run. Jaden took that and showed his athletic ability and went for about 20, 25 yards on a really nice play by a guy who seems to have all of the tools as far as what it takes to be a really good tight end. So offensively, early on, Gunner and the red team really had it going. There wasn't a lot from the black team offensively in the first quarter there, but Jordan Hall, a name of a guy who was a 5-star that I talked about on the last podcast, who's really going to have to show up for Georgia this year and be a player. Jordan had a nice play or two there where he flashed and got a couple of nice pressures on the quarterback. That's where I come back to, would it have been a sack? Would it not have? One of them definitely would have been. Another one was a situation where he gets pressure and the quarterback flushes and then they kind of blow the play, blow it dead. So I wasn't really sure if that one would have been a sack, but Jordan really showed some nice quickness today, a couple of nice swim moves. I believe it was Jazeer Jackson, maybe. He beat on one of those moves. And understandably, Jackson's still sort of learning the position. He's a huge man, but in terms of like his experience level, he's got a ways to go. He's learning every day. And on that rep, at least, Jordan Hall whipped him pretty good, and was able to make a move and get some pressure. So Jordan Hall flashed for me there in the first quarter. And at the end of the first quarter, it was 3-0. So then we looked at the second quarter, and this is how you know that Gunner's been in the system for a minute, because they had 3, it might have been 4 wide, but Gunnar takes the snap and he gives a hard two-handed, he kept two hands on the ball, but a hard shoulder fake, like the whole thing where he like acts like he's going to throw, bends at the waist, but he holds onto the ball. Then he comes back up and he was wanting to take a shot down the sideline, but it was covered. And then you see him progress to his read over the middle, which was covered. And then he, moved on across the field to the right side and finds Chauncey Bowen, dumps the ball off to him, and then Chauncey gets free for like 20 or 30 yards. So it was a beautiful play because in order to do that, you got to have pass pro from your offensive line. You have to have your quarterback who can move his way through his reads and use the whole field, not like a Tennessee quarterback, which we'll get to later, but I'm not going to let that go by. And then he was able to get to his third read, dump it off, and then have a huge play, an explosive play from a running back in the passing game. So Chauncey, that was his first, to my recollection, his first big play on a day where he actually flashed a few times, Chauncey Bowens. That was something that people talked about the other night when they were concerned about how the running backs looked. We saw Dwight Phillips today. We saw Chauncey Bowens today. We saw Nate Frazier, obviously. We saw several backs roll through there, but Chauncey really looked good. Dwight didn't have any really big plays that I could see, but he carried the ball. He ran hard. And then Nate Frazier had a couple of nice plays, receptions, scored a touchdown, which we'll talk about here in a minute. So I think that running back room, as I stated the other night, is going to be okay. They're going to be all right. But it's just one of those things where it's nice to see those players that we haven't seen before start to make plays, when everybody's looking and the band's playing. So that made me feel good too. After that play, Ryan Puglisi for the black team, he went to C.J. Wiley down the sideline for a big gain. So, Carol, to your point, these freshmen, C.J. Wiley, true freshman, Ryan Puglisi, redshirt freshman, right, stepping up, making plays down the field. So that was cool to see, one of those freshmen that everybody was really, really excited, including myself, when Georgia actually signed them back in December to get them to come to Athens. That was cool. And then here's that play where they gave it to Dylan Bell on the end around, and he had a nice run, superbly blocked. And really, Dylan just had to take advantage of what was in front of him, and he did, and went for a nice gain of about 20 yards. So that was cool to see from him. And then we get back to Stockton throwing the ball down the field. And this time he went to Zach Branch, who was the transfer in from USC, the former All-American kick returner. He went for him for a big gain down inside the 5-yard line. I think it was right down to the 1, if memory serves correct. And then Zach had to make a leaping catch and then fight for the ball. So it was good to see him attack the football in the air. It was good to see Gunnar Stockton give him a chance to make a play. Again, the pass pro had to be nice. So he makes the play. And then Nate Frazier punches it in from a yard out for the touchdown. So that was cool. They had a nice drive, cap it off the way it's supposed to be. And then on the next series, Ryan Puglisi is intercepted by Dominic Kelly, and that was just a busted route. So essentially, Ryan threw the ball where it was supposed to go. Wide receiver busted the route. Ball comes straight to Kelly, and he makes the play. So kudos to him for making the catch. But that is an interception on the score sheet for Puglisi. So that was the first half. And there was a lot going on, but I didn't fully know what we were about to get into because in the second half, there was a lot more going on, right? So third quarter, again, a guy that just kept flashing for me today, Chauncey Bowens, 9-yard run. And it wasn't just that it was 9 yards. Everything about it looked good. Like it was blocked really well. Chauncey read it well. He finished the run well down the field. Everything about it looked the way you think Georgia run game should look. So that made me feel really good. Then Ryan Puglisi gets hot, right? So he hits Delp for a nice gain. That was really cool. And then the very next play, Puglisi goes into the end zone to Colby Young, right? So there you go. Boom. Big play. I'm sorry, not Puglisi to Colby Young. It was Gunnar Stockton later to Colby Young, touchdown, and so it was 2010. So lots of offense there in the third quarter, and we weren't done because when the Red got the ball again, back to that pass protection, I believe it was off of play action, Gunner drops back and fires a strike right down the middle of the field for a gain of like 30 or 40 yards, hits Dylan Bell on the run. And I want to take a second, well, a couple of things. One, I want to take a second and remind everybody that even though last year was up and down for the wide receiver unit as a whole for Georgia, people have a bit of a, well, I feel like people have a bit of a weird take on Dylan Bell. And here's the thing about Dylan. He is a great Georgia guy. Okay. So he loves the university. He wants to be there and he wants to do whatever he can do to help the team win. That's not up for debate. All right. So 2 years ago, Dylan Bell appears like he's about to like explode onto the scene in 2024. And then in 2024, we just kept waiting for him to hit his stride. He has a big game against Alabama, right? The touchdown that put Georgia ahead late, that was Dylan. And then after that, he went back to being up and down. And of course, people remember the drop that he had in the Sugar Bowl. So Dylan, still the same dude. And he's out here working hard in the spring, trying to still become a leader in the wide receiver room, but also help the team wherever he can because we know he was taking snaps at running back in practice just in case they needed him. Again, team guy first. To see him go out there today and play the way he did, had the really nice run, and now, like I said, he makes the big catch down the field from Gunner Stockton for a big gain. He just looks really good. So if there's anybody I'm rooting for here in 2025 to have a really nice year, because A, it would be good for them, but B, it would be really good for Georgia, it's Dylan Bell. I mean, he's right there. He's ready to make a play, and I really hope that it goes that way for him this year because he had a nice play today. And the other side of that coin is Gunner Stockton. And you could see it in the game today. We've already talked about how he can read the field, how he knows the offense. He made some nice plays with his feet. But the thing about Gunner is that when you watch him throw the deep ball, he's got more than enough arm to throw all of the intermediate routes. Okay? But I'm talking about the deep ball, like the 25 plus yard ball. He throws such a catchable football. He puts just enough air under it to where it's like he's throwing it into a bucket. You can see the arc, right? It's not too flat. Oftentimes, when a guy has a big arm or a stronger arm, they tend to leave that deep ball flat. Matthew Stafford had a big problem with that during his time at Georgia, and there have been other strong-armed wide receivers or strong-armed quarterbacks who've had the same issue. The ball it's a little flat. Gunner's ball is very, very catchable. So he throws it up and over, drops it in the bucket, and you could see that on display today. But this throw that he made to Dylan Bell was not that kind of throw. He knew that he had to get the ball to Dylan out in front and try to hit him on the run, right? The pass pro was great, set his feet, stepped up in the pocket, and fired a strike right down the hash mark, hit Dylan on the run. He didn't lollipop it and give the defender a chance to come in and make the play. He put it on a rope, or at least a more flat trajectory, so that he could get it to Dylan while he was on the run. So really just a beautiful play all the way around. Everything from the offensive line to Gunner to Dylan, it was just a beautiful play, and I was really, really happy to see it for everybody involved, and mostly for the Georgia Bulldogs. So another young player that just kept popping up. Again, we don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen the stats about sacks today, but Joseph Jonah Ajanye is a guy who seemingly was just getting pressure after pressure after pressure when he was on the field. So you don't know how many of those would have equated to sacks and how many would have just been pressures. But when we watched him walk into the stadium, you could tell that this young man is ready physically to play the game inside the SEC. And to see him show up today the way he did, again, going just time after time as a disruptive force into the backfield on passing downs. That just makes me really happy, because if they are developing a guy who can put his hand in the dirt and then generate pass rush from a down lineman position without having to bring those backers, that is super good news for the University of Georgia. Because trust me, friends, if they decide to turn those backers loose and let them go get the quarterback the way they ultimately will, just like they did last year, that backer unit is athletic as hell and loaded for bear. And if you can get pass rush from that front four and only use those backers, when you want to, rather than having to depend on them to get pressure on the quarterback every time the other guy drops back to pass, then you set yourself up to be really successful defensively. Because if those dudes aren't having to blitz, if you're not having to bring extra hats, right, what can you do? You drop them back in pass coverage. Well, that just slows the quarterback down, because now he has to find the holes in the defense while he's got that down lineman coming at him in the pass rush, right? So it's spring. It's hard to tell because they blow the whistle, but I'm just telling you, friends, if JJA and some of those other dudes who have their hands in the dirt can push the pocket for Georgia, that's going to be an exciting development once the season starts to play out. I'm just telling you now, because I really think, it's funny when you use the word key. You're like, well, that's the key to the defense. It all fits together, right? So offense, like the defensive line, linebackers, and then the back four, back five. But that linebacker unit is just star-studded with athletes. I mean, all of them are, like 5-star dudes. So if they can get that production from that front line and let those linebackers be the stars that they are possibly, that they possibly can be, and that defensive back unit grows up a little bit, continues to improve the way we hear they are, that it could be really fun to watch. That's probably all I should say about that, but it's enough to get me excited, that's for sure. So JJA had a big day today. Now, looking ahead, we're still in the third quarter, and Puglisi, now he catches the hot hand. And you see him make a throw that's very, very similar to the throw that Gunnar Stockton made to Lawson Lucky back in the first quarter. Puglisi right down the seam to Ethan Barber. Carroll, shout out to you, true freshman on the field again. So you've got redshirt freshman quarterback with an absolute dime to Ethan Barber, who is big and fast and athletic. So, man, Todd Hartley, I'm just saying, if you hear Todd Hartley's getting a raise or something like that, don't bat an eye. Just say, good job, Kirby. Because Todd Hartley is flat filling the cupboard for the Georgia Bulldogs right now, okay? These tight ends are insane. As a position group, that's an insane unit to look at right now. So, Ethan Barber, another name to look out for. Another freshman that we had heard a lot about during spring, and he had a good day today, but I didn't see like an abundance of flashy plays or big or standout moments, but he did have one really nice run. That's Bo Walker. He had a really nice run there in the third quarter where he got loose for about a 25 yard gain. And it was so funny to me to watch that play. And I looked at it again on the big board for the replay just to make sure I saw it the way I thought I saw it. And I did. It was funny because he made a nice read, a nice cut, bounced it to the outside, and he's running down the field. And I'm like, it does not look like that dude's moving that fast. Like, it just doesn't look fast. Clearly he's moving, but it didn't look fast. Yet nobody was catching him. You know what I mean? So that's just something I'm going to have to watch as far as Bo Walker is concerned, because I'm like, that's a sneaky kind of fast, like he was just right down the field, but it didn't look like he was running away from anybody. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then moments later, they give it to London Humphreys on an end around, and he gets inside the pylon for a touchdown, makes it 27-17 red. And then one of the coolest things happened, and maybe I'll save these stories till the end here, but one of the coolest things happened at the end of the third quarter there as we transitioned into the fourth quarter which I'll come back to and mention here in just a minute. All right, so fourth quarter, here's my guy. Now, if you didn't get a chance this week, YouTube's free, right? So if you didn't get a chance, I want you to go back to the press conferences from earlier this week on Tuesday. Kirby didn't speak, but there were like 9 or maybe 11 players who came out to speak to the media, which is a crazy high number. And it was a lot of people that we haven't heard from before, which is also really cool because it gives us a chance to sort of know these players a little bit better and get to know them a little bit better. And that's always a good thing if you are a diehard the way we are over here in this community. So the guy that I was in love with him last year, but we didn't hear from him. And then we didn't see a lot from him. And so I was kind of bummed out, but I had faith. And then he stepped to the podium on Tuesday, and I was like, nope, wait, yep, that's the guy. Consider this channel henceforth to be a Sokovie White stan page. I am a Sokovie White fan, okay, of the young man and of the football player. So when we go through the season and we start to see him pop off and make plays, just remember, we love us some Sokovie White over here on this channel. Now, if you hadn't done it, go back, listen to Sokovie White's interview from Tuesday. I think it's not very long. It's less than 10 minutes. Go back and listen to it, because if you want to meet like the next Jalen Walker type guy, who when you hear him talk and you hear him talk about his teammates and you hear him talk about the game and his personal growth, you're just like, man, I like you. Go check out Sokovie White. Just a little viewing tip for you there. And then today, I was really hoping that we would see him show out a little bit. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. First, who was it? I guess it was Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar Stockton makes a nice throw to Sokovie White on the left side. And the thing about White when he was in high school is I don't remember if he was ranked as a 3-star or a 4-star. But it doesn't really matter, because the thing about him is whatever his ranking was, you could watch him play and understand that ranking, like, what is up with that ranking? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, it should be higher. Whatever it is, it should be higher, because all the dude ever did was turn defenders around and catch everything that came his way. And oh, by the way, I mean, he's not a small man, but he's not 6'4" either, like Noah Thomas. But he's got bunnies, y'all. Like, he's got bunnies in his shoes. Like, he could bounce. Looks like he could bounce out of the stadium. That's what he did on this catch. Gunnar saw him down there one-on-one, put it up high, and then Sokovie said, yeah, I'm going to go get that. Climbed the ladder, went up there, made the catch, put the Dogs in scoring position. So let's just start right there with Sokovie doing what I had been wanting Sokovie to do, which is show me those bunnies. And then the very next play, Gunnar Stockton drops back, and there were 2 verticals into the end zone on the same side. Sokovie was on the outside. And from the moment Gunnar took the snap, did his drop, when his back foot hit, okay, on his last step of his drop, I turned him out like Miss Beast is right here. And I saw his back foot hit, and then I saw the 2 guys that were on the verticals into the end zone. And I said, the words that came out of my mouth were, oh, go get it. Because I knew what Gunnar was about to do. He had a choice. He could go to the inside guy on the hash or the outside guy. The outside guy was Sokovie. So what Gunnar did was threw the ball up and over that inside route to that back pylon. And remember how I told you he throws that arcing ball, that in the bucket ball? And the words that came, I could see it come together. And the words that came out of my mouth were, oh, go get it. And sure enough, Sokovie was with his guy. And then all of a sudden he wasn't. And he separated and then laid out and makes a diving catch in the back of the end zone for the touchdown. And I was like, way to go, young man, because that was my dude. And it was a great play. It was a great throw. It was a great read, a great throw, and then a great play by Sokovie White to go get that and make it a touchdown catch. So I'm really, really looking forward to watching Sokovie White play this year. He looks like he's well on his way to having a big season. And that was the end of my notes. So 34-17. I hope you guys enjoyed that, walking you through it a little bit right there. I tried my best to make a few notes in the middle of what was a really good day. So let's see. What did I miss in the chat over here? Hey, there's 70 of y'all in here. What's up? It's good to see you. Welcome in. If you haven't been here before, thanks for giving us a chance. I hope you'll stick around. We have a good time over here. Who's jumped into the chat with us? Let's see. Teresa's in here. DSA's still in here. Stetson Bennett, ready for fall. Listen, man, love the name, right? Stetson, if that's you, hit me up, come on the pod. If it's not you, I love the name, man. It's good to see you in here. Carol J's in here. What's up, bud? Who else we got? 225 still hanging out with us. That's awesome. CJ Hanna. What a blast. Nice, man. Okay, let's see. Said you were looking for us. Well, I hate I missed you. That stinks. I wish I'd run into you. No way. CJ, you were asking me about... Okay, wait a minute. I'm going to throw this on the screen. Stand by, everybody, in case you missed it. CJ says, what a blast, man. We were looking for you. Guess we didn't see us or didn't see you or whatever. That's cool. It's all right. We'll catch you next time. Says he was asking the other night, how can I get Oscar Delp to sign something for my son? How can my son get something signed? And I offered some suggestions. I don't know how it went for you, CJ. If you want to tell the story, that's great. I would love to hear it. I'll put it on the screen and we can talk about it. But he's like, I got Oscar Delp to sign the jersey. That's awesome. That, my friends, is why G-Day is awesome. Okay? This was something that we hope would happen, and I am so happy to hear that worked out for you, CJ, and for your little man there who wanted to get that done. That is so awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. That is so cool. Let's see. Chandler Sorrells. Man, good to see you in here. Let's see. That G-Day game is exactly what I expected. Just wish we'd seen Noah Thomas. They went to Noah, once or twice maybe? He had a couple of balls come his way, which was pretty cool. He's going to have his opportunities. But I do want to get to what Kirby said afterward, in case you guys hadn't heard it, because not calling out Noah Thomas directly at all. But I do want to mention some of the stuff that Kirby pointed out there. So let's see. Yep, a little bit of a jet sweep, a little Covey White love in the chat. Gotta love that. Let's see. Tim's still in here. Am I saying that right? Shami? Is it Shami? I hope so. Good to see you in here. I'm ready for fall too, man. These temperatures, you know. Jeremy says, care to give us your take on the Tennessee? Yes, I want to get into Tennessee and Nico, but I want to finish up Georgia first. So, CJ, again, if you want to share your story, great, man. I'd love to hear it. I'll throw it on the screen and we can do that. And if you don't, that's okay too. Don't sweat it, brother. I'm just happy that worked out for you. That's so cool. But I would like to know how it happened. Like if it was at Butts-Mehre or if it was something else. So I'd love to hear how that worked out though. That's fantastic. I'm so happy, man. Like, again, that's why today was amazing, right? It just had those kind of vibes. It was just one of those days where, you know, anything's, I don't know. I know I'm a bit of a romantic. I'm going to give you that right now. But it just felt like, you know, anything could have happened today. You know what I mean? Like anything could have worked itself out, or you take a chance. See if make the ask, right? Ask the question. And I can get into this here in just a second. But first, before I get into my stuff, let's wrap it up with talking about what Kirby said. So Kirby said that the thing that he really, really wants to see moving forward, and it's funny because he uses this phrase, and by now you're all familiar with it, but he wants players that can play winning football. Well, what does that mean? That means that we can trust you to know what to do and when to do it. And we can trust you to play your assignment so that we can scheme in such a way that the team can, you know, take away what the other team does best. But we can't run that scheme if I can't trust you to do what you're supposed to do. So that's the first level. And then the second level is you have to play the game a certain way, which is with a certain mental toughness, a certain physical toughness. You have to be hard-nosed in your approach to the game, and you have to love it. So That's what he means when he says winning football. So at the podium today, he was like, well, I'm looking for more mental and physical toughness from these young men, right? And this is where you have to sort of take that with a grain of salt, because you have to keep in mind that 30 to 35% of this roster just went through their first spring practice at the University of Georgia. And it is not for everybody, okay? We all know that. So clearly we're talking about the true freshmen and the transfers that come in, right? So it doesn't mean that they're not trying and that they're not doing it to the best of their ability, or at least what they believe is the best of their ability at this point. But Kirby's coaching them up. He's coaching them hard, and he's telling you, I need you to give me more, right? So when you look at a guy like Noah Thomas, who at the podium on Tuesday said, this is definitely different than the practices I went through at Texas A&M. He's like, no hate to Texas A&M, but what we're doing here is not the same. And you hear that over and over and over. So when they ask him, what does that mean? He's like, well, it's the physicality that we have to play the position of wide receiver with. So Noah, he addressed it directly in his press availability on Tuesday. And then today you see Kirby like, I need more mental and physical toughness. And there were opportunities today where the ball went down the field to Noah Thomas, or he was in the read pattern, and you could see that maybe, again, I'm not banging on the dude, but you could see that he is fighting, that physical part of the game. He's fighting for position. He's fighting to get, a little hand fighting to get free to make the play. And he's working on it. You can see him doing it, but you can also see that there's more that has to be done, and the way they block in the run game and so on, right? So I'm not trying to call out Noah Thomas specifically, but the commenter mentioned Noah, and so I'm just using him as an example. These dudes, you could tell that they were out there playing hard, right? I think Kirby described it as 11 individual campfires is what he was seeing at times today. And that's great. He said, but what I want is that bonfire. I want to take those 11 individual campfires, pull them all together, and then have this raging inferno of a bonfire. That's what we have to have. That's what we're going for. So Georgia fans, don't think for 1 second that Kirby Smart is not out there going, yeah, that's great, but, he's coaching them up every day, and he's trying to push them to be all that they can be. And when you are a young man, a freshman, or new to a team as a transfer, you might think the limitations that you have as an individual and the limitations of what you think your game is. Because up to this point in your life, you've been able to figure it out and kind of set your own limitations, right? Because generally speaking, you were the best in the bunch. So you would do whatever it took to win. But maybe even though it was good enough to win, it's not the best you're capable of. And that's what Kirby and the guys are trying to push them to, right? Not 11 campfires, one inferno bonfire. That's what we want. So a little bit of a grain of salt there when he says something like that, because they're working. But it makes me wonder, how good can they be? How good can they be? They've got time to get there. And all the work that's going to happen between now and fall camp is going to determine, where it's going to be they're going to be in a different place. Spring is over, but the person and the player that they are today will not be the same player that shows up for fall camp. That will be a different person and a different player. And then they'll have another 20 practices or so before the first game to really figure out who's who and what's what. So that's why I say I feel really pretty good about what I saw today. Excuse me, y'all. So yeah, Kirby coaching them hard, there's no doubt. And what else did he say right here? Oh, he reminded me and everybody in the media room today, he reminded all of us that he doesn't care, and his players don't care what we say or write about them, because that's not what they're focused on. What they're focused on is being the best player that they can be, improving every day, and working on the little things that they need to work on to get better. And I am not at all offended by that. So as a lifelong member of the media, I am not offended when Kirby Smart says, I don't care what you write, because it's not what we're focused on. It shouldn't be, Kirby. And as Georgia fans, we should be like, that's right. Pardon me, y'all. Woo, allergies. All right, so Kirby is not upset at all about anything that I might say or anything that anybody might write, or those players are feeling the same way, because they're focused on the right thing. So I just kind of appreciate it that Kirby lets us know that nobody cares. That's fair, but they shouldn't care. That's exactly the way it should be, is the way they're doing it right now. And again, he wants to see those dudes play with fire, passion, and energy. One of the quotes, and if it's taken out of context, it can give you the wrong impression. But one of Kirby's quotes today was, and he was talking about the playing winning football, fire, energy, and passion. And one of his quotes was, something, I don't care. If you are a young player who plays with fire, passion, and energy, then there's a place for you at Georgia. And we'll find a way to get you in, is what he said. And if you don't know anything else, you might think, so is he saying that that is lacking on his team right now? And no, that's not at all what he was saying, because it was in this longer speech about how that's the priority, how he wants not 11 campfires, he wants the bonfire. But he was saying, they were asking him about players at other schools or transfers or who might leave or whatever. And he was like, I don't care about any of that. I care about the people who want to be at Georgia. And if you want to be at Georgia, we'll find a place for you if you have fire, passion, and energy. That's what he was saying. So don't see that quote somewhere and take it out of context. He wasn't saying that the players aren't playing with those things. He's just saying that is the priority at the University of Georgia now. And if you missed it, if you go back a couple of episodes in the podcast, I spent the whole period talking about this very thing, about how there is a new player decision-making chart at the University of Georgia when they recruit players. And at the very top of that is effort, love of the game. Do they play with that passion for the game that he's looking for? That is just as important as the measurables these days in Athens. So if you missed that episode, go back and check it out. I thought it was pretty good. And all right, so now before I wrap this up with some of the coolest things that have happened to me, like in a long, long time, maybe ever. So I want to tell those stories. But before we get into that, let's touch on the Nico thing real quick. It's not Georgia stuff, but it's SEC stuff. And in case you missed it, the breaking news over the last day or so was the news broke that Tennessee's quarterback, Nico, I'm about to leave you, had been holding out, essentially, and in negotiations with the University of Tennessee to rework his NIL deal, which when he signed it was an $8 million deal over the course of 4 years, so $2 million a year. And starting back in December, he had wanted to renegotiate his contract because he saw what was happening with these freshmen that were coming in, like the one that wound up going to Michigan this past recruiting cycle for like $12 million. He says the market has changed. I'm the starter at Tennessee. I did this on the field and we went to the playoffs. I want a new contract. And then he didn't show up at practice. So he tried a professional move where essentially he's like, yeah, I'm just not going to go in until we get this contract thing worked out. And to his credit, This all happened so fast, I didn't even have a chance to make a video on it. But to his credit, today Josh Heupel came out and says, we have decided to move on from Nico Iamaleava. That's what he said. As a program and as a franchise, as a team, as an organization, however he phrased it, we are moving on from Nico. So in other words, he's like, I'm not paying you anymore, bro. You are under contract. And oh, by the way, you were captain average for Tennessee last year. Not a world beater, not an all-SEC caliber player, not an all-American caliber player, not a player that was going to win them a national championship. Captain average on the SSIM average. That's who Nico Iamaleava was last year. And yet he wants to come and ask for twice as much money as he was making last year? Just because he's the guy? To his credit, Josh Heupel says, I'm not doing that. I wouldn't do it either, in case that's not coming through clearly enough for you. I'm with Heupel. I wouldn't do it either. I'd cut him loose too. Because you can't have that. If they had left him, even if he had backed down, or they had given him something more incrementally, right, to appease him, the damage was already done. And then he skips practice? Like, I'm going to hold out? Like, I don't know, J.J. Watt or Dak Prescott or whoever? No. You're mid, bro. What are you doing? No. I'm with Heupel. Cut him loose. Because if they had taken him into the fall, that team would have been just dead team walking. Would have come apart at the seams. Go ahead, make the move now, cut him loose, go with your young dudes, or go get a guy out of the transfer portal if you have to. But if I'm Tennessee, I would go with those young dudes. You've got a guy who was a freshman last year, who was a highly rated quarterback. He's been in the system for 2 years. He's got the skill set. Plug him in. And obviously that's what they've chosen to do. And they're going to ride with him here in 2025. I would have done the same thing. So now I saw where, like, I think it was USC and Notre Dame, maybe North Carolina, were like the top landing places for Nico. I'm about to leave you, because he earned that name. Listen, do you think Bill Belichick's going to put up with that kind of prima donna? Doubtful. Do you think Notre Dame is going to put up with it? Maybe. Do you think that Lincoln Riley would want that kind of drama on his campus? You know what? Lincoln Riley and Nico they seem like a perfect pair. Go on out to USC. Go on out there, do whatever it is you're going to do. Lose a bunch of games along the way. And then, leave for the draft next year. Go be a 1-year mercenary for somebody. And then go to the NFL. Like, it doesn't even matter at this point. Doesn't matter. I don't care where he goes. And Tennessee. Listen, Tennessee fans, I'm talking to you. I know this might hurt right now. It might be confusing, and you might think that your season is sunk. But this was the best move. If you actually care about the program, eat your crow, humble yourself just a little bit. All that trash y'all were talking about Nico, who, before he ever stepped on the field, you said he was just going to do this, that, and another thing. And then your boy shows up, goes mid for a whole season. And then y'all try to explain it away for this, that, and the other. Listen, just take your medicine, admit this was a mistake, move on. Because this is the best thing for the Tennessee program. If you actually care about Tennessee being better, then you don't want that dude on your team. Not after this. I mean, he could have been the guy, maybe, if he just goes and plays ball. But that's not what he wanted to do, because it's all about him. You don't need that. So when the Dogs show up on Rocky Top this fall, they might beat your skull in. That could happen. But just know that you're better off than if Nico were there. Just saying. My 2 cents on that. So, Jeremy, did I hit it for you? Good enough? Did I do a good enough job? Because, man, that's crazy. Let me revisit these comments real quick here before I get into my stories, because I got stories to share. Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. CJ's got the story for us, it looks like. Let's see. He says, I'm going to take a sip. Hold on. He says, I bought a pack of Sharpies, and I bribed a guy and his family on the dog walk to scoot over with one of my Sharpies. So he led us into the rope, right up against the rope. Says we were able to get Oscar's attention, and he came over and signed before the game. People, that's why G-Day's awesome. You're not going to get that at a regular season game. Those dudes are locked in. Oscar gets it. This is about the fans. Stopped in the middle of the dog walk, filled this young man's dream, like made it happen. That is so freaking cool. Oh, man. CJ, thanks for sharing, man. That's awesome. That is so cool. I am so happy for you guys. Chandler's like, I love seeing the long balls. Not too many screens. It makes me feel like they trust the receivers a little more. You know what? I think they trust their quarterback, and I think they trust their receivers. And it's different catching the ball in practice than it is catching it in front of the stadium, full of fans. And I know that it's just G-Day, and technically it is just another practice. But it's different when the big board's playing and the lights are on and the band is over there playing Glory. You know what I mean? Like, it's different. And so I think it's really good. Like you said, show your confidence, throw the ball down the field, and let's actually start to separate, let's separate some things here. Because is today going to make like 100% difference in who plays and who doesn't in the fall? No, it's not. But it's definitely going to be weighted. And I think this is why you go out there and you throw the ball in a game like this, is to see what those dudes can do. So I'm with you. I love seeing them throw the ball down the field. Teresa, are you getting out of here? Oh, all right. Well, if she's already gone, Teresa, I'm sorry I missed this comment until now. I hope you have a good night. It was great to hear from you. I'm happy you had a great time at G-Day. That's awesome. Let's see. Oh, see, Dogman asked a good question. How many of Kirby's truck lifting speeches will we get this year? I don't know. I think, though, when you've got a young team like this, a team that's looking to believe, and you can't do it every week, right? You just can't. It loses its punch. But if you've got a team that's playing pretty good and you think you've got a pretty good team that has a real chance to do some things, I would not at all be shocked if, especially that first month of the season, because you have those 2 games there, those SEC games inside Sanford Stadium, Alabama coming in first, and the way last year's game went, and you need to get this young team to believe, it'll be a choice, right? Because Kirby could choose to do the South Carolina thing from 2023, where he's like, here's what we're going to do. And just matter-of-factly tell this young team, this is what you're going to go do, so that, sort of push the belief onto them, right? Belief is borrowed in an instance like that. Or maybe he goes the other way, and he's like, I'm about to ramp these dudes up, and we're going to jump on them like a chicken on a June bug. It could be that, because Alabama's breaking in a new quarterback. Sanford's going to be rocking. I wouldn't be surprised if we get 1 or 2. But Kirby doesn't even know the answer to that question yet. He can't. You won't know the answer to that question till you see the team, till you get a good feel for who they are, because they are by the players on admission at the podium this last Tuesday, a player-led team. So, is CJ Allen going to handle that, right? Is CJ Allen and the other leaders who are going to step into those roles, are they going to be the ones to jerk a knot in somebody's tail? Are they going to be the ones to get in your face and get you fired up? Is that who they are? Or are they more like Gunnar Stockton, who's not a big rah-rah guy, who's just going to go lay it on the line for you? And you need the coach to get in your ear that way. Kirby doesn't know that yet, and he can't. That's That's a cool observation there, Dog Man. That's going to be a fun thing to see. I can't wait till we get those like SEC Inside episodes around the big games. That'll be really cool. But we won't have to wait that long. You know, stuff like this, word sneaks out, you know, he got after him this weekend or whatever it was. So that was 100%. All right, so now wait a minute. I see Jeremy Nix chiming in perfect here. I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm not sure if you were responding to me or just to Carol in the conversation there. Nestor, what's up, Nestor? It's good to see you back in here, or what. But that's either way. I hope. Yeah, if we were talking about Nico, I hope that rang the bell for you there. That's awesome. Let's see. Yeah, I love the conversations you guys are having over here. 225 girl, DSA, y'all breaking it down over there better than I could. Y'all should podcast. Tell us what's going on over there. Keep us all in the know. Okay, so I think I'm caught up on comments. Thank you guys for hanging in here with us for so long. I appreciate it. We still got more than 50 of y'all in here. All right, this is awesome. Thanks for hanging out for a little while, guys. This is great. Grab something to drink because Lord knows I've got a dry mouth. Get your favorite beverage, a snack, something. Now the drive is not that much farther. We're almost there, kiddos. Oh, let's see. Okay, wait a minute. Before we get into the stories, let's do this. 3 new you guys are awesome. All right, here we go. Let's do this. So Dogman's like, are there any new completed upgrades? Okay, so I'm not sure what your point of reference is. So from what I could tell today, looking at the south side of the stadium, which is where all the construction had been with the corridor widening and the new press box and all of that to me appeared to be completed and in good shape. And I didn't see anything new. So if you're talking about something specific, you might want to put it in the chat and I can clarify. But everything looked to be completed. So all the plans that were put in place 2 or 3 years ago, when they were really sort of breaking all that stuff apart and then putting it back together, all of that appears to be done. And it looks good. We were able to navigate ourselves all the way around the stadium today. So I thought everything looked good. I thought the people flow was good, you know, so that was a cool kind of thing for me to see because I hadn't been on the south side of the stadium since they did all that stuff. So I don't know if that helps you right there, but it was cool to be in the stadium today for a day game and see them do the fireworks. And, you know, at night they do the red fireworks and it gives the sparkle spray above the stadium like they did at the end of the Georgia Tech game, right? So that was new toward the end of last year. During the day, they use powder. So it's a red powder. So you get the white fireworks and then you get a white and red powder that goes up into the air so you can see it. Because you can't see the red fireworks in the sunshine, you know. But that powder was really cool. So my girls got to see that and thought that was pretty cool, you know, because they weren't expecting a little fireworks show. So they really enjoyed seeing that today. That was pretty cool. And Jeremy, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I guess you feel the same way I do. That Nico situation. Oh man. Captain Average. Nico, I'm about to leave you. And he did. See, there were moments late at night where I was like, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I'm being mean to the kid and he's just doing what he's doing. No, I was right. He was about to leave him because it was never about Tennessee. That's the thing. That's what Kirby's talking about. There are players like Nico who are like, no. This is a business thing. I'm, ferreting. I'm doing the business thing. And Kirby's like, we don't have to do that yet. It's part of it, but it doesn't have to be all of it. And he's still looking for players that are all about the school, the things he's looking for, the intangibles, relationships, all those things. Nico. I don't know where he's going to go, honestly. But I think he should go to USC. That's what I think. Johnny Bootlegger, what are your thoughts on Puglisi? Okay. I don't know the stats. So if you know the stats, please put them in the comments. But Puglisi, I didn't see him do anything today that I'm like, oh, he can't run the offense. In fact, it was the opposite. Because in the second half, he came out and got to run with the ones a little bit, and he looked really good. So, I mean, again, if you're talking about Stockton versus Puglisi, I stand by my statement that Stockton's going to be QB1. And I hope I described why tonight when I was talking about what he did today, why that seems to make sense. Like the way he reads the defenses and can do the different things and the team leadership and yada, yada. I think, I'm on that train. Gunner's QB1. But when I saw Puglisi with the ones today, he looked really good. The one thing we all heard about was the boy can throw it. That's a fact. He can throw it from different arm angles. He can throw it, on platform, over the top, throw the ball down the field. Got it. I would say that his accuracy on the deep balls maybe aren't, they tended to fade on him. It was breezy today, so the wind could have had something to do with that on a ball or two, but they seemed to sort of fade out of bounds. So it could be that the route wasn't run correctly to give him room to drop it in the bucket on the sideline, or maybe he just lost it out of bounds when he threw it. So, but that happened to Gunner a little bit too. So I'm not holding that against Puglisi, but he can throw it. He can throw it down the field. He can throw it on platform. He can throw it off platform, and he can throw it with a different arm angle. So the thing about Puglisi is he can flat let it rip. So we don't have to worry about that. And the kid is confident. He believes that if he's playing with the ones right now, he could run the Georgia offense effectively enough to win. That's where it starts. He has to believe it first. And now, everybody else would have to come on board and believe it too. But when he had the opportunity to play with the ones, I thought he looked good. And, in the spring game, there's not a whole lot else. We don't know anything about checks or any of that, so you can't even speculate. But as far as just physically watching him play the game, I thought he did a good job. And he made some plays with his feet too. Nothing like – he had one run that was pretty nice. It was like 15 or 20-yard run where he pulled it down, stepped through the pocket, as you should. So, it looks like Georgia's in good shape. If nothing else changes and Gunner is QB1 and, Puglisi is QB2, then Georgia fans, I think, should feel good about the quarterback situation heading into the fall. So I think that's about all we can ask for, right? Is to see that right there. And yeah, Nestor, talking about number 17. Oh, I can't remember his last name. I'm going to look it up right here. See, I got all my cheat sheets around here. Coulter Ginn. Coulter Ginn did have some nice throws today. He's another player that stands tall in the pocket, delivers a good ball. He hit one ball down the field on a play that I thought maybe it would have been one of those sack plays, but because they didn't whistle it dead, the guy didn't actually tag him, so they didn't whistle it dead, and then he made a really nice throw down the field, down the sideline. So you can tell that he's got some arm talent too and can stand in there and read, and make decisions with the football. And it seems like he is coming along too. And we saw the young kid, what is it, Hezekiah, I think? Yeah, Hezekiah Millender, the true freshman out of was it Clark Central? He was in there and it was so funny. He threw a couple of balls down the field that looked nice. You could tell that he's very athletic. And there was one play in particular where he drops back and he's in the pocket and he's waiting and waiting and waiting. And you could tell that he didn't want to run. Like the instinct was that pull the ball down and go. And it was like he was reining himself in to not do that. And it was for a beat or two that you could see that he was purposefully not running out of the pocket. So I don't know if he'd been coached up to not do that, or if it was just something that he was waiting, like he really thought he had something down the field. But you could tell, it was like, oh, I should go. And he didn't go. And then finally, nothing broke open and nobody got in there on him. And he's like, I'm running. And he took off and had a nice 15-yard run or whatever. So you can tell that he's athletic and that he's working toward being a good quarterback who wants to be in the pocket. So I thought that was pretty cool from the young kid, the true freshman. Let's see right here. What else we got? Wait, Jeremy's asking a question. Anyone have a favorite restaurant or shop in downtown Athens? Got to go to Red Zone merch store and always have to grab pizza at Little Italy. Oh, so you have your favorites. Gotcha. And you're just asking for others. Okay, that's cool. I'll let y'all continue that conversation in the chat there. Red Zone's a cool store. I was in there just yesterday, actually. So there you go. Let's see. I appreciate you guys sitting in here with me. I still got those stories to tell. So if you're interested in those, don't go anywhere. Jeremy, let's see. Carol, isn't that the place? Wait, what did I miss? Yeah, Mama's Boy. Yep, that's the breakfast place. That's right. That's a good one. That's a winner. Okay, looks like I'm caught up in the chat again. So let me take another sip. Okay, so as I mentioned off the top, today I had a couple of the coolest things happen to me that again, maybe ever, but definitely in the last few years. Today I was blessed enough to have some of the coolest things happen to me that has happened to me in recent memory. And let's just start at the beginning. So first off, you guys heard me say that today was just a fabulous day in the Classic City. I mean, you can see, the bright sky behind my girls there. These are my two daughters. That's Riley and Kinsley. This was not their first G Day. They love getting back to Athens, and they love to just soak it in, and they're learning the game, as they grow up. So that part's coming, but they just love everything about it. They love going back to my alma mater. They're wrapped up in the romance of it all, and that's great. So we had a great day with family, and if it stopped right there, I would be an extremely lucky man. So I touched on that earlier, and I just wanted to touch on it again and put my two little girls on the screen for just a minute, because I know that's going to make them very happy to know that they were on the show tonight. But then, like I said, at the end of the third quarter, I had something happen as it was going from the third to the fourth quarter. We were sitting there and the game was playing out, and I'm watching the people. I was on the end seat on the aisle there, and I was watching the people come up the walk there as they were heading, to the concessions or maybe headed out even, because we were getting to that point in the game. And I happened to lock eyes with somebody, and I had sunglasses on, so she couldn't tell that we had locked eyes, but I was watching them walk up the steps. And then they got closer and closer and closer, and I saw her see me. And that's when I smiled real big, and sort of welcomed her up and called her by name. Today, I had the opportunity to meet so many of the wonderful people who breeze through this channel. So many people came by today and said, "Hey man, go Dogs, high five, love your hat," whatever it was, So to everybody who came by today and said, "What's up? Hello, how you doing?" Thank you. It was great. It was outstanding to meet you all. It was great that you felt comfortable enough to come up and say hello. And more than that, these two little girls right here, they loved it. They loved getting to see all the people come up and meet new people, say hello, say go Dogs. It was great. And again, y'all, if I was just going to stop right there, it would be wonderful. But back to the story I was telling about the young lady, and she just entered the chat. Kimberly Ann won Simply Kimpossible over on Instagram, happened to find me in the sea of people today as she was making her way up to the concession stand. And she was kind enough to stand in there and pose with me to take this beautiful picture and automatically improve the look of this face right here, right? And we stood there and chatted, 10 or 15 minutes, just had the best time ever. The girls loved meeting you today, Kim. It was wonderful to have you come by and say hello. And I could not share our meeting here on this impromptu chat this evening. So Kim, thanks so very much for coming by and saying hello today. It was awesome. And look, she's here in the chat with us. I'm going to throw this on the screen. she's like, man, she says it was amazing to meet us. It was amazing to meet you and your friend coming by. And yeah, Sanford holds 93,000. And for that to work out the way it did, and for us to have an opportunity to say hello and talk a little bit, just truly awesome. Really, really made my day. Like I sent you a message, and I hope you don't mind me sharing, but I shared with Kim that my oldest, after Kim left, she did one of these and she waved me over, and I leaned in real close, and she said, that just absolutely made my day, you know? And I'm like, see, that's awesome. Awesome. I don't even know, like that word doesn't feel like it's right. It doesn't feel like it's the right word to capture just what a cool moment it was for them, because, you know, it's just, I'm dad and they're my kid. And it's to have other people come and be kind, you know, and share a moment of their day with them. It was just really cool. So Kim, thank you so much. I'm so happy you're here. I don't know if you just were able to get in or if you've been in for a minute, but it was super awesome to see you. And I meant what I said. So don't be a stranger. You have my contact info now. So, you know, let's make sure you reach out anytime, and you know, we'll keep this thing rolling along. So that was the first splash event that happened in terms of meeting people today who come by the channel, which is really cool. But we weren't done. From there, we made our way out of the stadium once the game was over, and we had a choice to make, right? Because we could walk out to the bridge, which meant that we would have to then walk around to get to the buses, because we had parked out near East Campus at the parking deck. And so we could have gone that way, which would have taken a little bit more time. Or we could turn around, make our way back through the concourse, walk around, go down the steps over near Gate 7, down the backside near the railroad tracks, and come out at the buses, essentially. So it was a little bit shorter in the timing of it all. And that was really cool, because my littlest one had been running around all day handing out stickers and those discount cards that I let you guys know about. So, you know, thanks to everybody who came by and took a discount card, gift card today. I hope you'll take those into Alumni Hall. And by the way, shout out to Alumni Hall for doing that really cool thing and partnering with me for this G-Day event, putting those those discount cards in my hand so that I could give them to not only our viewers, but also, you know, people, just Bulldog Nation in general. That was really cool for Alumni Hall to step up and do that. And you guys, if you got one of those, they are 20% off, right? So 10% is like the normal discount that stores throw around. The 20% discount is part of a friends and family discount, which when I was talking to them, I said, listen, I love my people, and I don't want to not deliver for my people. And so I got them to agree to offer the friends and family discount to you people. So if we were able to meet and I was able to put one of those in your hand, then outstanding, because I want to make sure that you guys get a win every time we can. And so I hope you'll take full advantage of those discounts. So again, thanks to Alumni Hall. But back to my story. We were making our way around the concourse, and we decided to not go to the bridge. We decided to go the shorter route, which led us back to the buses a little bit quicker. And that decision was because of the little one. She made the choice. She was doing fine. It's not like she was tired or anything. She just chose to go that way. And man, am I thankful she did, because we get on the bus, and being little, everything's an adventure. So she wants to go to the very back of the bus and sit 4 wide along the back wall, which is great. You know, it's neither here nor there as far as I was concerned as an old person. But, you know, she was having a good time and we were doing good. We get back over to East Campus and we're getting off the bus. And we were the last ones clearly off the back of the bus because we were at the back wall. The people that happened to be in the middle had chosen to wait. And the person in front, I think, was the reason that they had chosen to wait. Because as I get to the step where you're going to step down and off the bus, this gentleman, his name is Ken from Warner Robins, starts talking to me and he goes, "Excuse me, sir, are you the fella from," and he mentions the podcast, and my head turned, I look back over my shoulder and I'm like, "Absolutely, that's me," and at this point, you never know. It could go sideways. He could be like about to give me what for. You never know. But Ken did exactly the opposite. And he came off the bus and was like, "Man, I love your channel. I love your show. I appreciate what you do." Friends, I'm just telling you, I know I've said it on here before that some people come onto these platforms and they're like, they say whatever it is they say. I hope you believe when I tell you how much it means to me when you guys are willing to say hello when we're out and about and speak up, and because I love to put a face with a name that you see here in a chat. And it was so nice to meet not only Kim today, but Ken from Warner Robins. He and his family spent probably as much time as Kim and I spent together out by East Campus in the little grassy area there, hanging out and talking, and him sharing about where he's from and the players that are on the team now that his son had gotten to play with on their high school team, and just how much he enjoys cruising in here for the show and hanging out with us when we can. And I just wanted to give Ken a shout out too. So Kim and Ken, thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Again, I know your time is valuable, and I appreciate the fact that you chose to come in here and hang out with us for just a little while today, because not only did it make my day better and just reaffirm why I choose to show up here and do this for you guys and for myself. Don't get me wrong. I love it. That's why I'm here. But if I'm going to be here, I want to show up for you, right? Because I want you to take as much away from it as I do. And days like today just reaffirm why that was. So when I say that today was amazing, that's what I mean. Not only was the game great, not only was the atmosphere great, but the people around this channel that I get to meet and run into and get to know, you guys make it worth it. And I am so very, very thankful for the opportunity to show up here with you and talk Georgia football whenever we get the opportunity. And there's so much more in front of us. I'm sure that I'm very much like you, and that there never seems to be enough hours in the day to do all the things that we want to do. And I just want you to know, cheers to you. Thank you for hanging out with us. It really, really does make all of this just so worth it at the end of the day. So cheers to you. All right. That was awesome. I appreciate you guys letting me share a little bit right there. And I see Gasman jumping in here and letting us know that he didn't get to come out to G-Day today, but he's making it a priority for next year. Man, I hope so. I hope that it works out great for you and that you get to come on back and check it out. And I'm not going to tell Kim's story, okay? I'm not going to tell Kim's story about how she wound up in Athens today. I'm going to leave that for her to tell. But I will tell you this. If you are on the socials, head on over to IG and check her out over there on Instagram. You will find her as Simply Compossible, okay? And if you need help, just go to my page if you're over there and look at my followers, and you can find her that way too. But Kim has a really cool story about how she even wound up in Athens today. Because if I'm not mistaken, she said she wasn't even really planning on coming, like it wasn't originally in the plans, and then it worked out that way. So I'm a firm believer, and I don't know nothing about nothing, but I'm a firm believer that in our lives, people come into your life for a reason. and they stay for as long as they're supposed to be there, and then they're not in your life anymore. Sometimes they're in your life forever. We don't know, but they don't just show up with no intention. You might not know, I might not know, but there's some intention. There's some lesson that's supposed to be learned there. There's something about it. So when I think about it using that lens, and then I think about the conversations and the people that I met today, all I can say, friends, is it was an amazing day. And I am thankful that we got to go and experience. My girls got to be there and see it. And I'm just grateful, really beyond words. And I appreciate you guys listening to me go on and on about it here for a minute, because it really does mean something like there. The Observer says that he and Wendy missed G-Day today, and it stinks. I feel you, man. I feel you. I mean, it's one of those situations where for the last 25 years, every college football Saturday, with the exception of one here or there, where I was able to make stuff happen, I haven't been able to attend the games the way we did 20 years ago. 20 years ago, we had season tickets, and so we were there every Saturday, every home game, all day. It was not in for the game and then on the road and headed home. We roll in super early, tailgate, game it up, post gate, then we would go home late, right? That kind of day. And then my work schedule shifted, and I was steady working on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, covering the games, so I'm still watching college football, NFL, whatever, but I can't get to the games, and not in the way that we were. So I had to give up my season tickets all those years ago. Moving forward, if life allows, that's something that I think I want to reclaim, is I want to get our season tickets back, because for years I was in stadiums, but it was there. I was working, right? Press pass, newsroom, working. That's not the same. Like, I'm not watching the game at that point. I'm seeing the game, but I'm not watching the game. Watching the game is a lot more fun, because you're not working. And so today was super cool to get to watch the game, and I didn't have to think about working, So if I can make something happen in my future, it's going to be that, and that's relocate my Saturdays to the point where I can maybe just get my season tickets back and get back in there and watch them Dogs the way I want to. But we're just going to have to see how that goes. We're going to have to see how that goes. All right, everybody. Gosh, it's been almost 2 hours on a show that I wasn't even sure was going to happen. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the ride. I hope that we brought value to you. For those of you that didn't get to go to this game today, I hope that if you were able to sit in here and see all this and listen to us talk all this time, I really, really hope that I was able to bring something to you that was a little bit different, and maybe give you a little bit of perspective on what happened at the game today. And if we're lucky, there's going to be like I said, maybe they dead rolled the game. Maybe it's going to pop up on SEC Network here in a couple of days. I don't have any insider information on that, but trust me, it's a thing. Like ESPN, they own the SEC rights. Okay. So there's nothing that said they couldn't do that. I didn't really see a lot of production today, a lot of production trucks or anything. So the chances are very, very slim, but you never know. So just monitor SEC Network here over the next couple of days, and let's just see if maybe they'll show up out there. The Observer, see, he's helping me out. Please don't forget, if I've done a good job, if you've enjoyed your time here, if I bring value to your Georgia Bulldogs world, please hit the thumbs up. It helps us out. And if you don't mind, help us out with a subscribe also, because if you've been around the channel here for a minute, we are on the climb. We've been having some success lately. We're growing. I really want to get to 10K sooner rather than later. And with you guys helping me out, sharing the channel around and telling your friends, I'm hopeful we can get there sooner rather than later. But when we do, it's going to be because you guys helped me. Because as big as Dog Nation is, it's still kind of a very narrow scope of folks. You know what I mean? Because I'm not talking about college football in general. I'm talking about our Bulldogs. So I need to get all the damn good dogs squeezed into this little wedge of the internet right here, because it's a happy little place and we have a good time over here. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I don't think I'm going to keep you any longer. Again, almost 2 hours on a show that I wasn't even sure was going to happen. Will you look at that? There are 50 people currently in here, and we have 50 thumbs up on this stream. So thank you all so very much. The number went back up, so now we're at 52. So the work is never done. But thanks, guys. Seriously, thank you all for hanging out with me. And if you've watched this long, you've been here this long, do me a favor, go in the comments below this video and put in something like MVP. Leave me a comment that says MVP beneath this video. Not in the chat now, beneath the video. Leave me a comment that says MVP, because that means you are an MVP of this channel, at least to me. Know that I value you for being here, and I really appreciate it. So until next time, we're going to think some more about spring. We're going to, hash out all the details after the fact. If Kirby does a presser on Tuesday to sort of wrap up spring practice, keep an eye out for the presser reaction video, because that'll be out there. But otherwise, we'll be back here every Wednesday the rest of the season until we get into fall camp. We do the podcast on Wednesday nights, the live streams at 7, and then other videos throughout the week as news warrants. So thanks for being here. Until next time, you guys take care of yourselves, your friends, your families. Take care of each other, and go Dogs!